the maximum used one, that is the UV chunk fill. So I go over here and just drag over the particular UVs where I want this material to be applied. So you see, right now, the entire helmet has been has this particular material applied to it at one go. It's the easiest way of filling in the material. So what I did was show it once again. I take a fill layer or take a material, whichever you want. Take a material, start with a material good way to work with. So I take a material and take a folder, drag the material into the folder, right click and add black mask to the folder itself. Now this folder contains the material that is for the helmet. Now go over here, polygon fill, take the option UV chunk fill and just drag it over the specific UVs where you want to apply this material to. So maybe I want to apply this to some other part as well, maybe to the hand as well. So I can do it like this. Now, say for example, I don't want some part of this of the leg to have this material. So what I can do is I can change the color. You can see right now the color selection is at white. Instead, if I make it to black and I start dragging over, so it is now inverting the mask. So it's just, hiding the mask, hiding those parts again. So it's kind of like applying the mask based on the polygon selection. So this is how you actually start applying materials to different parts. So now if I have this blue material again and let's take this. The color selection right now should be white because I have used a black mask. I need to reveal from the black mask. So I have used white color and applied it on this UV chunk. So this is for my for the helmet. I should rename it. This is the actual way you should work. So this is the material for my for the helmet. I take one more new folder and take a material, maybe something. I'm just taking random materials as of now. Taking maybe something like this gold material. Drag it into the new folder. As you can see, it's covering the entire section, entire model. So again, this new folder, I'll add a black mask and I just want it on the torso section or maybe some of these parts, whatever my whichever part I want to apply. So right now you can see this is where the gold material has been applied. So this I can again name as chest. So this is how you can apply materials, or you can allocate materials to different part of the of a single surface. Now the advantage you get is, for example, I have applied this helmet material over here. So whatever edits I want to do to the helmet, it will remain within this folder. So then if I want to apply maybe a rust material to the helmet, so I have to be careful, like I call in a rust material maybe from here. And this rust I have included within the helmet folder. It is not going out of that. If it would have gone out, it would have covered the entire object. So I again have to, go and mask out this rust and all. So I don't need that. So I'll keep things simple. This folder I have created, I'll put the rust within that. just include it within the helmet folder. So the helmet is now overlapping the color, and here I can do anything. I can add a black mask, and add a generator, maybe add as dirt or whatever. So this is now affecting the helmet only. It is not affecting any other part of the surface. Basically, it's affecting, but we are not seeing because we have masked it out. We have masked the helmet part out. So whatever changes I'm doing only, it's visible only in the helmet section. Similarly, if I go to the chest section and I add something over here, maybe whatever, you can just go crazy here. So this is limited only to the chest. Now I can add a black mask again and add a generator. Do something, maybe a metal edgeware or whatever. Now this is affecting, as you can see, it's visible only in the chest part. This much part being done. Now we've already seen how we are going to apply these materials. Now it can be done. This application of material can be done a little easier if you use something called an ID map. So we'll just have a quick look at how ID masks are to be created or ID maps are to be created. So this it's no rocket science. ID maps is just another way of applying materials. It makes your life easier sometimes. Again, I should tell you it's not absolute necessary, but you can incorporate it as a part of your workflow if you like it. So I'll just import back the box that we worked on yesterday. The high poly object, not the low poly one. If you have only the low poly object, so in that case you will you create the ID map with the low poly only. But if you have a high poly object, so you are going to create your high poly masks with the high poly object only. So for example, let's for now consider this is the material. Now ID maps are absolutely simple concept. What we have to do is assign a new material and give different color values, flat colors. They have to be flat colors. This is essential. Give flat colors to the parts where you want to apply different materials. For example, I have applied blue to this section, and maybe these parts I would like to apply a separate material in Substance Painter. Just make it a little easy, like again, totally up to you, and will be totally depending on what material you're making, where you want to apply. If you get acquainted with Substance Painter a little bit, you'll understand it's a hell of a time saver. That's the best thing about Substance Painter. So just take Lambert again. Make sure you are not taking Blenor font, and use flat colors. So these, as you can see, I've applied red color. Maybe I'll apply a separate material here. This is just for understanding. assign a new material. Maybe. So you can see all these parts have these different colors, and export this as the hyperlay object. Now we'll come back here, bring the box. I'm going to stick to preserve UV tile layout because that makes things easier. Sometimes, however, you can go for the other option as well. If you want to keep your objects, totally separate, so in that case, you can choose that also. But I find this workflow to be the easiest one because all the multiple objects and accessories of a single object or of a single character. For example, a character has shirts, trousers, guns, caps, hats, everything, or jackets with everything. You can texture everything at the same time. That's the beauty of it. So now I go to bake mesh maps, select the hyperlay object as box height, and select everything together. At times, what you can do is select the you just take the rest and keep the ID off initially. Bake the selected textures. So right now, at first, I'm not baking the ID. ID is usually you can bake it later on. So now I go back to the ID options. You can do it at the same time also. It's not necessary to do it separately. But this is just for showing you what I'm doing. Now here you will have two options, vertex color and material color. If you are doing from Max or Maya, you should go for material color. If you are baking some data from something like maybe ZBrush, there you have to select vertex color. Remember this? Because there you are actually painting on vertex. So there you have to take vertex color. If you are doing from Max or Maya and you have applied separate materials, so in that case, you will take material color here. And just like that, go to common. You should match the names always. You can match by mesh name. So that's why the suffix is important here. If you have a more complicated surface, you will understand as you practice. So that time the naming will become very important. If there are multiple objects with multiple, parts and stuff, so each part should be maintained, should be named in that way. So low and high and big. I think it's not required here. I'll just keep the naming option off as of now. Just match always. Back selected. Okay. Now, as I go to the ID maps, you can see it has created that the colors. It has applied these colors according to the colors that we have selected in Maya. Now, it's not, however, visible in the material section. The material will show you the material, whatever you have taken. The ID map is not for actually coloring. The ID map is for applying and selection. Now, how it works is, let's, for example, take any material from here. Well, I'm taking this plastic fabric, maybe. Now, you see, this material is applied all over the surface. Just scaling it down so that we can see the textures as well. So right now, this is applied all over the surface. But what I want is, I want this particular texture to be visible only on the external borders. So what I can do is take a group, like it's always better to have a new folder. So create a new folder, make a group, right click, And this time, instead of adding a white, black or bitmap mask, add a mask with color selection. So as I add a mask with color selection, what happens is in my properties, in the color selection or the layer properties, what I can see is it's showing me this color selection ID mask option. It's very simple actually. What you have to do is just pick the color from here. Just take this color picker and pick that color where you want to apply this particular material. And you see the rest of the areas are now masked. So very simply, without going into those things like selecting by polygons or anything, I have restricted this material to be applied on only the section where I want to. Now here I want to apply some other material. So maybe I'm taking random stuff, whatever I want. Maybe fabric. Again, it's applied all over. Take a new folder. Always have new or create new folders for separate materials. It's like the best way to work with in Substance Painter. So I go here and similarly add a mask with color selection. Pick color. This I want to apply where I had previously painted with red. So now you see this is applied over here only. And the last section, for example, if I want to apply this maybe, and new folder, make it a part of it, add mask with color selection, pick. So this is restricted to the center section only. Now you can always go and edit the rest of the stuff whatever way you want. This is always possible. It's absolutely non-destructive. Anytime you can go and change anything because everything is in layers, as you can see. Mask means that the material is still there on the parts, but it is hidden. It's just like Photoshop, when you create a mask, that means it's there. The entire layer is full, but you are just revealing that part which you want to show. If you want to work for same material, everything goes for Blender. These materials you're not when you're working in Substance Painter, you are not creating materials actually. You are creating textures. These textures you can take to any software. Once you have created over here, then you can take these textures out when you're exporting. You can export it to be it Max, Maya, Blender, wherever you want, you can do it. That won't be an issue. We don't actually unwrap here because unwrapping should be done in the 3D software that you are using. Yes, it can be edited. It can be edited. Absolutely correct question. And it's not difficult at all. I'll show you how this mask can be edited by painting. Simple thing. What you have to do is once you've created the mask, right click and add a paint option to that mask. Now, once you've done that, you can go and edit it. So if I want to hide it, the masks can be hidden. You can paint on these masks. So you just have to take a paint property on the layer, wherever your mask is, right click, add paint, and then you can go and paint it. So this is how you actually work with the masks. If you want to change the color selection, that again you can add a paint to that as well. It will tantamount to the same thing. You can change with the painting option. So next thing, we'll see the effect on a particular object that we created. Like I have this uh, object over here. Now this specifically is not done in ZBrush or anything. It is a very heavy mesh, purposely created heavy mesh. You can see it has almost 2 lakh faces over here, and it is done in Maya itself. So if you are teaching students who haven't done, ZBrush or anything, or Mudbox, so you can create some kind of a heavy mesh like this in Maya itself. Also have a low poly version of it. So this is the low poly version, and this is the high poly version of the same thing. The best way is you should you can do it this way. Take a low poly version, take a high poly version, make edits in the high poly, add stuffs that are not part of the low poly at all. So you can see I've made these edits over here, and color it up. You can apply 2 to 3 colors like this as per the way you want to apply. Now let us bring that hammer to to Substance Painter. I'll go select, and take a hammer. So here is the hammer, and when you want to bake it, where it mesh maps, take the high poly. This time I'm doing everything together. Just as I had mentioned yesterday, you should change these option, take higher resolutions and stuffs. I'm not doing that right now. So go and bake. So everything applied. Let's check the ID maps, just as we had created in Maya. You can see that. Now, once it's there, now let's get some basic materials and stuffs, and we'll do a little bit more. So I'm applying a simple material, maybe this. You got lots of options. You're actually spoiled for choice. So I've taken this material. Now it is applied all over the surface. Take a new folder, and you can name it the way you want. For example, this one, I'd like to name it as the head, the hammer head, basically. Right click, add mask with color selection, pick color, and this has been applied to all the sections that were painted in blue. Now now let's consider, I don't like this material that way. I don't want this. I want to replace this material. That again can be done very easily. You just need to take something else, put it over here, and you're replacing the material at a GPU. Just go and delete it, the previous one. So this way you can apply materials very easily. let's now for the other part for these filigrees, so-called, I want to apply a different material. So let's take something, maybe a copper or something. Take this, make it a part of the new folder, add mask with color selection, and pick only the green color. So you see, this time only the areas that were painted with green are showing this brass material. So the light can be moved within the viewport by pressing Shift and right mouse button. So if you're having difficulty in checking out materials, you can shift your panoramas and the environment actually. So this is how it's looking. You obviously know why it is pixelated, because I baked with a very low resolution. Now this section, I want to apply a wooden material maybe. So just take something from here. This will do. So I take this and again take a new folder, take a part of it, add mask with color selection and apply it to only the wooden section. So you see, easy peasy. It's absolutely easy and logical. It's totally logic based. Whenever we are working with something like this, you just have to understand the logic, the overall logic, how it's supposed to, work. So till now, masking and like how to apply different materials and how to mask materials. Is this part clear to all? Now, the next part where we are going now is the actual usage of the procedural and the generators and stuffs. So, well, let's work on this. What I'll do is I'll change a couple of the materials. Like instead of this iron, I will take a more something more plain in that way. Now, as you can see, this has a very plain and like very smooth metallic surface. Now, the challenge particularly is how to make these materials look a little aged, a material that has been used with scratches and stuffs. That used to be the challenge. In case of Photoshop, when we used to work, the kind of creating realistic scratches and aging materials, adding dirt maps, those used to be the challenge. And in case of Photoshop, those had to be done manually. You can do the same process in Substance Painter as well. You can, if you want, you can, keep on painting stuffs. But Substance Painter actually is not meant for doing that. The more you use procedurals, the more you use, something like procedurals and generators and maskings, the better results you are supposed to get. What happens is when you are applying something like, say, dust or dirt, or you want to show some rust. Now, the entire surface doesn't get affected by rust or dirt equally. When you are using or edgeware equally, what happens is dirt in particular accumulates at the areas which are more, these edges which are the valley areas where basically which are somewhat darkened and areas where there's a sort of depression, or so-called, just as I said, the valley areas. That is where dust accumulates. Uh, Similarly, you have rust around the these areas and the edges itself. Edgeware, which is basically a metallic surface which has been used for some time, it you will see the edge wear happening around the edges which are actually pushing out, or the peak areas, not the valley areas. Dirt will accumulate in the valley areas, and the uh, edge wear will occur primarily at the areas which are sticking out, that is the peak areas. So it's we can paint those things manually, but it becomes absolutely senseless when you are working with Substance Painter. In Substance Painter, that thing is done with procedurals and generators. So how do we do that? I'll show you a simple example and I hope it will be clear. First of all, let's take this surface. Now this surface, as you can see, is pretty metallic surface and with some amount of roughness. Now if I turn off the roughness, if I make it absolutely black, you can see it's totally becoming, reflective, highly reflective surface. Now maybe I want to keep it slightly reflective. I want to show these things, but at the same time, above this, I want to show some kind of, scratches and grunge stuff, because the entire surface should not be equally reflective. Some part may reflect less, some part may be a kind of rough and so on. So if I want to do that kind of a thing, what I'll do is I can take a new material. There are multiple ways of doing that. You can duplicate this material as well. For example, I have got a duplication option. So I'll just get in here, duplicate layers, or press Ctrl D and make the top material a more, rough stuff. Add a black mask here. So I added a black mask. Right click, add a fill layer. So what I did was I took a duplicate of this platinum, right click, add a black mask, then right click, add a fill layer. And in this fill layer, in the grayscale option, bring a grunge texture. So you see, it's partly reflective, partly non-reflective. Now this grunge can be anything. There are lots of grunge textures around here. So that looks pretty cool. You see, that looks pretty nice and realistic. So I can, just go around taking the pick that I want. Okay, I want something like this. Because normally metals will have some kind of kind of a brush metal look, or if you want something, these sort of scratches, you can do it in this way. If you want to add some literal scratches, that is also possible. So what I'll do is, above this, I'm taking a new layer. Now this layer, again, I can go and add a black mask, add a fill to this, go to grayscale, and instead of grunge, take scratches. So you will have some different types of scratches around here. So for example, take this. You see it has applied these large scratches around. Instead of UV projection, you can make it triplanar here, so it will be like applied evenly. You can change the scale of the scratches. So basically it's going to tile around. You can play with the hardness, the number of the scratches, check the size and all. These are all procedurals, make some changes in the like the way the scratches are applied, the rotations and all. Individually, you can do all these kind of stuffs. If you want to change anytime, just as I told you, these are all what do you call is all procedural stuff, so and non-destructive totally. So you see nice amount of scratches we have created. You can balance it out, with Substance Painter. The main thing is, once you understand the tools, how to balance it, how to make it look uh, realistic, but still don't go overboard kind of thing. So I've got this nice scratches around here. I may reduce it a bit. Here's these options. You just have to explore these. These are all things like procedural options. Go through these. These are really cool stuffs. You can create very cool procedural effect just by using these things. Most of the times you won't be needing how to painting and all. Procedurals are the best part of a Substance Painter. Now these scratches are right now just working as paint, but if I want to create some depth with them as well, that can be done. I don't want them as part of coloring a process. I want them neither as color or anything. I just want them as some amount of roughness. So what I do as I just want to add to some height. So I keep the height channel active and reduce the height amount. So you see, without doing much stuff, I've created already a pretty cool looking material. Everyone with me till now? Any questions? Anyone? Any questions here? Cool. Now, once we have done till this, now I want to add some dirt and rust kind of stuff, if I may. So what I'll do is I'll add a rust material at first. It's covering the entire stuff. Let it. One thing you can see is when I'm applying it as rust, still my the scratches which are underneath the rust, they're visible. So for that, what you have to do is the material that you want to show, get into that and keep the options as base color and change it to normal. Turn off the height option for this. So these are basically the same as blending options that we see in Photoshop. Nothing difficult. So now with the rust, what I'll do is right click, add a black mask and add a generator. Now where I want the rust is particularly in the areas where with depth, the peak, the valley areas. So I go to generator and I have this dirt generator over here. So click on it. The moment I do that, it has started to generate the dirt specifically where I want it to. How it is generating the dirt? It is using those curvature and ambient occlusion maps that were baked by us like initially. So I got this. Now you can play with the dirt level. If you want to increase it, you can. You want to play with the contrast, you can. You want to control the grunge amount. You want to control the edges, the masking of the edges. All stuffs you can do from here itself. Right? Is this clear? Arif, could you just explain your question, or it is what you are actually wanting to see? So I have created these brush generator around the areas where I want to see. Now, next, I may want to see some edgeware as well. So for edgeware, what I'm going to do is may take a simple fill layer and just use the color and height option over here. Nothing else. I'm using only color and height. Now, where do I want to see the color and the height? I want to see that only around the edges. So what I'll do is right click, add black mask, add generator, go to the generator and this time use metal edgeware. Add a little bit of height to it so that we can actually see it above the surface. So you can see it is affecting primarily the edges. That is where it is visible. So the edgeware is affecting all the area which are basically above the particularly the what do you call is the hill, the peak areas which are sticking out. That is where the edgeware is getting effective mostly. So anyone, any questions till this? What if you want to limit the edges? So you can edit these edges. You can edit this. How you can do is you just go over here, fill layer, right click and add paint. So if you want, for example, I don't want this part to get affected. So take a like grunge brush or stuff and you can start painting around here with the black mask or something grayish. So these parts I can keep on masking. I don't want these parts to get affected. So manually we can edit these. I hope you've got your answer, how we can edit the edges. Once we have created the edges, we can we can limit by using painting. You just have to go to the fill layer, add a paint layer, and you can work on it. So that was the kind of use the generator kind of stuff that we use over here. Now, for example, I want to do something on this. Okay. Next thing that we need to address is the there's a thing called anchor points. So we'll move to anchor points once now. Now what anchor point does is, I'll just remove all these stuffs, all these materials as of now. One more thing, these materials that I've created, for example, I've created this material for this object. Now I want this material to be a part of my some future projects also. I want to use it for my future projects. So that again can be done easily. Just select this folder, right click and create a smart material. The moment you create a smart material, it will become part of your, the shelf. It will be added to the shelf, and this you can use for your future projects as well. So all these smart materials are basically simple materials which are taken and, like, for example, if I take any of these smart materials here now, and they're always a good point to start. So if I remove all these and I include this as part of the head, it's kind of a within that smart material, you have got this folder which already has these materials and stuffs applied within it. So that is smart material. Smart material is not any rocket science. It's just you have all these materials, ready materials. Substance has like the people of Substance, they have already worked on it. They have created this and they have given it to you. So you can create your own smart material if you want, or at times if you want to save your time and stuff, so you can use these as well, but don't use them directly. Go and you should be able to edit them as well. So you should know how to edit these materials. So we can go and change whatever kind of the properties and stuffs if we want. That we should be able to do. So that's all about the smart materials. Now if I want to add something else on this, maybe add an edgeware, I can always do that. Go and add a fill layer, add a black mask to this, add generator, use metal edgeware. Now you see how nicely this has been applied overall. Now just someone asked if we can edit it, add a paint, and whichever way you want to. So we can edit these, as you can see. Whichever way you want. These can again be edited and so on. Now, another thing that comes up is if I add some like the concept of anchor point, just as I was talking about. So to explain the anchor point thing, first of all I'll remove these materials initially and take a simple two materials I'll be using. So maybe I'm taking something like a simpler. Right, like this. And now I apply a rust material. Again, it can be rust, it can be dust, dirt, or whatever you want. So taking a rust material on this. As you know, add black mask, generator, maybe dirt. Okay. So this is giving me this dirt kind of look, which is cool. But now suppose if I want to add some nuts and screws over here. So how I'm going to do that is add a fill layer. Turn off the color options and stuffs for now. And add paint. With some height. Okay. Use an alpha, any alpha from here. Maybe something like this. So I'm painting with a slight additional height. Now see, the issue that is coming over here is I've added these stuffs over here, but the rust is not visible. You can see it's not working according to the rust. So what I have to do again is either I go over here to rust and add a paint layer and start creating this rust around here, which obviously will not give me the very nice result. I hope you're trying to you're getting what I'm trying to do over here. So this is not giving me the greatest of results. So in that case, what I can do is I can use a thing called anchor point. Now what anchor point will do is I've added these paint layers over here. I right click to this and add an anchor point to the paint layer. Mind you, the rust layer is above this paint layer. Now go over here, add an anchor point. You can name this anchor point in whichever way you want. Now go to the rust option and get into this dirt generator that we have used earlier. Now as you go down in the rust generator option over here, you will have two options, micro normal and micro height. Now mind you, here we have used the height option, not normal. So you go to the height section, click on this, take the anchor point. So as I go over here, generator, dirt generator, micro height, go in here, anchor points, take the anchor point that I had created earlier. Now as I've selected the anchor point, right now it's showing nothing. What you have to do is go to the micro details option and micro height, turn this on. The moment I do that, you see all these edges, they are showing rust exactly as we wanted. Now you can control that with your AO radius and options over here in the micro details. You can control that with the curvature intensity or the height details intensity, AO depth, and your AO radius. These are the options that you can use to edit this. And the more, if I keep on adding more alphas to this or more stuffs, like maybe I've got some nice texts over here as well. So if I take something like this, So this is how it works. Come to another section, that is the projection painting. Somebody asked me to show a couple of generators. So I'll just quickly go through the generators one before getting into projection painting and all. Uh, so where this comes helpful is like I have got this anchor point thing. We'll just see a simple example of over here also. Like I have got these options. Now these are not part of your mesh. These are not part of the original baking structure that we have done. These are part of the this height that you are getting over here. These are all part of the plastic material that has been used. If I turn off the height, you can see this is going off. Now, if I apply some kind of dust here, a simple dust I'm going to use, just a dark color stuff. Initially keeping it a slight greenish. Later on, we can change the color. And I add some roughness to this. Add black mask. Make it go, add generator to this. Dirt. So now this dirt has been applied pretty generically. It is not exactly adhering to the kind of peak area, the valley areas of this. Even if I turn off the height, you'll see the dirt is being generated in this way. So now what I want is the dirt to accumulate in areas which are more like these valley areas. So what I can do is make this an anchor point, go to dirt, micro height, is this on the anchor point, micro details, micro height, turn it on. The moment I do that, you see the dark green areas, this is visible in the anchor point itself. So that makes our work much easier and makes it look more realistic. So if I go and turn it down, so that looks 1,000 times better than it was originally and saves a lot of work. So anchor point, I think, is clear to everyone how we can use anchor point and the advantages of using anchor point. Anyone, any question with this? The entire anchor point stuff. But as you can understand, this is pretty vital. Now, as we were talking about projection, so we'll see a little bit of projection painting as well. So projection painting is basically very, very simple. It's not complicated at all. Just take a paint layer. First, I'm adding a fill one. Now add a paint layer to this. And if I go to the base color of this paint option and change some, pick in some texture from here. Anything, it can be a color texture or it can be an alpha whatsoever. Like this. Take this texture, turn off the alpha, and I can paint anything in that manner. But what if I want to apply a particular texture through projection? What I have to do is simple. Select this, get into the third option from the top, the projection option. And in here, base color, select the particular texture that you want to maybe anything here. I had a couple of options in here. Okay, now let's take these roof tiles. So I've got these roof tiles applied, and I want to use this roof tiles as an overall like a projection like texture. So what I'll do is simply apply this all over the surface at once. So you see the part that was facing the projection has got these tiles applied seamlessly the way I want it to. And this can be done from whichever angle you want. If I want to apply from this sort of an angle, again, projection, and you apply it this way. You can change the projection options as well. You can change it to different tiling modes. H and V tiling you can do. So if you if you want your object to be tiled throughout, if you want to have seamless tilings, that can be done as well. If you want to change the size of your projection map, that can be done as well just by pressing S and your right mouse button. With that, you can change the color of your, the size of your projection. So just take a pen tool, brush tool, and get into the projection mode. In projection mode, take a base color option, take the texture that you want to apply, press S, and you can turn it, you can scale it. If you want to rotate the texture, that can be done by using the left mouse button. So if you want to rotate it like this, that can be done as well. If you want to tile it, you can go for H and V tiling and apply the texture overall like this. If you want to apply as a height map, with color as well as height, you will apply it as height also. You'll start getting some amount of height to it as well. Is this clear to everyone? Projection mapping. So if you want to, how you can do that is, like for example, if you want to apply a label or something. So what you will do is you get into you go to file, import resources, add resources. So I need to bring the texture that is here. I bring it here and call in as texture. Import my resources to the current session. That is, it will be applicable to this only. It will not be included in the shelf forever. So current session, import. Now this has been imported over here as a part of the, as a part of this project. Now I get into the projection mode and change the base color from this to the Coca-Cola stuff of the height, and not using the tiling. Set it correct. And apply it. So as easy as that. Once done, go to the brush mode. So in the tools, you have got some ready-made options, like you have got the stitch. Now you can apply a stitch to a surface. Different type of stitches and stuffs are there. If you want them to apply in a single straight line, it's extremely easy. Just press Shift and go on clicking, just like Photoshop. So if you want to apply like on a cloth or something, tomorrow actually we are going to work on a character. So that time we'll be working on some garments and all. But as of now, if you want to see, like, if you want to apply stitch in this manner, you can do these things very easily. And as far as the materials are concerned, you can change the alphas as well. Instead of this, if I want to take some other alpha, that can be done as well. If you want some different type of stitches, some of the options that have been provided over here are exactly like this. Right. Now that we have done this, we'll go back a little bit with the generator part. Some of the other generators that were there, we'll have a look at those. Now, understand one thing, it's when you are talking about generators, they are basically you are working with with ambient occlusion and curvature maps only. So, and you can do anything with them. You can, it's not okay, you are working with metal or you're working with cloth or you are working with whatever. Understand the basic fundamentals of how to work with the colors. This is basically deciding which part of your surface will show a particular color and which part will not. This generator is actually helping you create those masks according to ambient occlusion or curvature. So, for example, if I take this, if I keep, suppose red color here, a random red color, apply a second material. This may have separate, maybe a white color I am putting. Add generator to this. Now, within this generator, you have got the options like couple of stuffs we have already seen. We have seen dirt and this one, metal edge, we have already seen. I did that directly. Also, I should apply a black mask and then apply the generator. So, Edgeware, and for a darker color, I am taking something like for the dust part, add black mask. We have already seen that. I'm just reiterating. Add generator. Get done. So this is the basic fundamental. Now, if you are working with materials or whatever, these are the basic fundamentals. So how dirt and dust they're working. Now, instead of using dirt and dust directly, if you want to create your own way of like applying dirt and edgeware, you have got a couple of other options as well. So I'm taking a material here, add a black mask, add a generator to that, and you've got a couple of options like mask builder and mask editor. So here, what happens is you are creating the mask, or you are editing the masks somewhat like you've got more options over here to do. So if I take a mask builder, initially it is just creating a mask like this. Now you can play with the levels around here, and you have got options. You can take your pick, like you want to go according to curvature. So see, if I make the curvature more if I give it more intensity, so it is starting to work more as an edgeware. And if I turn the other stuffs off, maybe the add some scratches to it, add some scatter options, change the scatter scales or size, control the AO. I don't want the AO to be that much effective. Control the grunge as well. Reduce the grunge amount. So I am creating a sort of edgeware according to my own choice. So I have got more freedom of creating my own way of edgeware. So you can use the mask builder legacy options instead of preset kind of like the edgeware is a preset thing. You can use that, or you can use something like a mask builder or a mask uh, editor kind of stuff. Instead of like I got another option that is the mask editor as well. Again, kind of similar options. So if I whichever one I want to work with, I want to work with curvature, or I want mostly ambient occlusion kind of stuff, so that I can decide from here itself. Again, we also have a couple of things like using multiple textures within it, but that we should actually cover with a little more advanced classes. Now, if I want to break this down, we can have multiple textures in it as well. So if I want a secondary texture, I can bring something from here, like a second stuff, turn up the textures to opacity. So you can see now it is breaking down the our curvature map into smaller parts. Control that with some more contrast and all. So that can again be edited by using a second texture with our edgeware and stuffs. So you can basically almost manually you are creating your own edgeware masks and stuffs. So basically you should have two layers. So one layer we may have something, a material like concrete, and above concrete we have got fill layer, maybe something like this, and sure. So if I want to cut through it, you can simply use a black mask, or in fact, a white mask. Take an alpha with or a grunge, something like that. Uh, add more height to this. Yeah, this has to be in the normal mode. Sometimes it may take a little time in updating. Make sure your because all the layers will be usually in your what do you call is the uh, your linear dodge mode. So, but whenever if you want to see this the the height information of the bottom layer, if you don't want it to pass through to the top layer, what you have to do is this. You have to change to height, and your layer blending mode should be in normal. So in that case, you can see this is totally plain, and the bottom layer you can see over here with. So I have increased the height information for the top layer, and I have cut it out with a simple mask. That's how we can do something like this. Next, a couple of things that we need to shows to the students sometime are like how to create, something like emissive maps and stuffs. So again, emissive maps are pretty easy. So I'm just adding a smart material now to this. Doesn't look that great. I'll do a simple, I don't know, old. And what I want here is to create something like, an emissive material or something like, glowing cracks and stuffs if you want to show. So what we'll do is take a fill layer, turn off every other aspect except the emissive option. Right click and add a black mask. Now, sorry, before that, you should see something. I'm removing the mask first. If I turn on the emissive, you'll see this part is turning like self-illumination kind of stuff is coming up. If I want to make it visible overall, that like I want to show some glow, just for viewing purpose, this glow has nothing to do when you take it back to maybe Maya or Max. But just for seeing on the viewport, go to display settings, turn on activate post effects, glare, turn glare on, turn on luminance, reduce the threshold, and tweak the remap factor a bit. So you can see you are starting to get the self-illumination glow. You're also getting glow from the metals as well. So kind of a glowing stuff we can see over here. Now, my purpose is not exactly this. What we are going to do is add keep a color and keep the color as black so that it can turn pure red. Now, add a black mask Also to this layer, I'm adding some height and keeping the height basically less. Now, if I start painting, you'll see this will reveal something in this way. If I add like I can add a physical paint here as well. Use a different alpha. Or you're gonna use a physical paint brush as well. Like you can take something called particles. Get into particles. Take an organic spread. So this is basically a brush, nothing else. So as we go around, you can see something pretty cool and interesting effect like this. If you want these electric lines, so pretty cool and nice options with emissive maps. And later on, you can easily export these out as emissive maps to, Max and Maya. So I hope emissive maps are clear to everyone. Anyone, any questions with how to create and execute emissive maps? Anyone, any questions with regard to emissive maps? Okay, cool. Now another thing that comes up is how to work around with opacity. Can we create transparent materials in here? Mind you, we can make somewhat of transparent objects, but you won't be able to create if you want. I want absolute realistic glass and kind of stuffs. That won't be possible because that is not the purpose of Substance Painter. But yes, we can create transparent textures or opacity maps we can create over here very easily. So what I'll do is take a normal paint layer. Now, what happens is your material becomes very important over here now. So if I go to shader settings, and you will see PBR metal rough with alpha test. This is the default material, but you have to change this. What you will need is you have to take a PBR metal rough with alpha blending. Only this one will show actual like opacity over here. So actual transparency. So I get in here and rest is simple, nothing difficult. So if I just take paint, I'm taking a paint a brush, maybe whatever kind of alpha I select. Right, like this. And this layer, I'm changing the property. I don't want color, normal, roughness, metallic, anything. I want just to work with the opacity. Now get in the opacity option. And opacity right now, if I work, nothing is happening. Why? Because the opacity value is at full. That is, the object is totally opaque. Make it black, that is transparent. And as you paint now, you will see you are creating opacity on the go, a transparency on the go. Is this clear? How to create opacity maps or how to create transparency. If I do the same thing in here, again, so yeah, one thing that we can still see are the filters. Now let's remove all the materials as of now. So I'm taking a random simple material and color on. Add a black mask. And I'm just going to add some height, nothing else. Add a fill. And here I'm maybe taking a pattern. There are some different patterns here. For example, I've taken this one. Now you can see this striped pattern has been applied. You can change the scales and stuffs with this. Now the purpose of coming to this particular section is like we can see how these materials are looking. They're pretty, it gives a pretty hard kind of hardish kind of look and stuff. We can change that as well. What we can do is right click whichever thing you are applying, like whichever effect you have applied and stuff. Now right click and add a filter. Now get into filter. Filters are just like Photoshop filters. So you have got this blur option here. So get into blur, and as I increase the blur intensity, you can see the same hardishness of the kind of stuff that we are seeing. The stripes, the hard edge stripes, they are now gone, and it gives us a much more soft and smooth kind of look and feel. So if I, for example, take something like getting into this girl character. Tomorrow we are actually going to work on this girl or maybe some other character. This is already been textured, so just see a little bit thing. It's taking a little time to update. So now what we're going to do is maybe take a new fill layer, call it in here. Turn on roughness and all. And now add another layer. Turn off color. I just need some amount of height, nothing else. add a black mask, add a fill layer. Within the fill layer, let's take something like the stripes again. Because we are working with minute stripes, so I need a little higher resolution to be visible. You can probably already have got the idea that it's looking like a bit of kind of denim kind of structure. So that's how it's actually done. I need to, I should have added a little bit of higher resolution, but that will become a little too heavy. So I'm not getting into that. So this is how we have created. Now, just I need to soften them a bit, the stripes. So I'll add a filter here, blur. Now I want to add some kind of wrinkles to this, which are not part of the, the entire, like it's not part of the model. So I want to add some fake wrinkles. Add a new layer, turn off color and stuff, just keep height again on. Add a black mask, add fill and grayscale. We've got a couple of options here. Crystals. So I'm just getting into this option. Crystals. This kind of creating that sort of a wrinkly sort of look effect. Add so some fake wrinkles we are adding with that. Now make the wrinkles a little softer by using the blur option. So add filter, blur again, and you can do it directional blur, like motion blur kind of stuff. So you can do that as well, and you can see it's creating this nice a sort of kind of wrinkly stuffs that we want to create over here. You can add more filters. You can just explore them. You've got color balance. You can change the colors quite a bit. You've got contrast and drop shadows. If you want to create some drop shadow kind of effects, that can be done as well. So rest you can take your time and explore through the stuff and find out the different options that are there. So overall, I think we have covered pretty much the tools that are necessary. As of now, I cannot recall any more. So tomorrow we are going to do a particular example where we are going to do a character or a cyborg kind of stuff, and we are going to see how to finally, once we have done the texturing process and all, how to take those maps out and apply in Maya as well. Maya, or if you are working with Max, so you can work it in Max as well.